I see a viewer. Can you hear me? Oh, excellent. Alright, just gotta get everything here so I can see as much as I can. Alrighty here. Alright. So what do we say we start opening some packs here, huh? Yeah. Alright, right off the bat, we have Elder Spell. Such a mess. So, Elder Spell is kind of interesting in the fact that it's part of a potential one-hit kill with Bolus. Now, granted, it requires 5 black, a blue, and a red specifically to do. But you do have Bolus out, cast that, kill all kinds of shit, and then he can go off on his ultimate and, yeah, kill someone. Shiny Gideon's Sacrifice. And Nahiri and Soren proving that they don't have very good priorities. Sure, there's something out there trying to kill all the planeswalkers on the plane, but go ahead and duke it out. Ooh. Royalesque. Flying, trample, enters the battlefield, put 2+1/+1 counters on another target creature you control. When he dies, proliferate, then proliferate again. This is Atraxa candy. I'm so with this set, I'm so needing to put something together with it. I like these. It's a good way of encapsulating Ravnica as a city. The people are just all colors. And Awakening of Vitu-Ghazi. Potentially a 9/9 for 6, as long as you don't mind a land potentially dying. Alright. That's Spark Double. I always like copycat cards just because I have a deck that I lovingly refer to as my copycat deck because all it is literally just clones, copy spells, redirects, everything. Just basically whatever your deck is doing, I'll just do it for you. Or back at you. Pick one. Shiny Summit Sprint and Niv-Mizzet Reborn. This card is interesting. It's like any other 5-color card. It has a really unique effect. In this one, it's reveal the top 10 cards of your library. As is fitting for Ravnica, one card of every exactly 2-color combo, you get to put it into your hand. So, an Orzhov, an Azorius, blah, 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 blah. So, potentially, you can just toss 10 cards into your hand. Yeah. Rest into your hand, the rest of the bottom of your library. So, you can potentially do a lot, or potentially it will get you nothing. That said, if you're building around it with 10 cards, you should at least get something. Silent Submersible. Decided to take another run at Smuggler's Copter. At the very least, it's in proper color, so there's that at least. Dang. Okay, I'm gonna confess, I cracked a box before I started this stream. And outside of the Liliana I got in prizing, I got a Liliana in that box, and another one yet. Kind of wish that I could get the Japanese version, but I'll settle myself with almost a play set already. Fitting music for this, of course. Time wipe. Good old Teferi shenanigans. Bounce a creature you want to save to your hand and then just destroy all the rest. I was just thinking about this guy. Krenko. There's been a rather dirty combo that's been discovered with him, because whenever he attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it, then create a number of +1/+1 red goblin creature tokens equal to his power. So you get him on the field, you attack with him. If you have Angelic Exaltation, the not exalted card anyways, basically, and attack with him, with everything you have on the field, you pump him up to a ridiculous degree, and then you trigger his ability, which just pukes out goblins, and then you untap the next turn and do it again, provided he survives. I mean, it's red, it doesn't have protection, but you can do some dirty game-ending things with him. And Fibblethip. He's 2-cost, 1/1, enters the battlefield, draw a card. If entered the battlefield from your library, or goes cast from your library, draw 2 instead. Becomes target of a spell, shuffle him into his owner's library. So, interesting abilities, but mostly he's just the fact that he is one of those creatures that just reached a mimetic status just because. The first time, which we call Totally Lost was revealed, this poor little lost homunculus just was embraced by the community in such a way that was just bizarre. And it was to the point that you could actually look on a number of Ravnica related cards after that, and you can actually see him. Proof our girl Kaya is in the Gatewatch. And why I need to get caught up on the book. Alright, so shiny is Teferi's Time Twist. Now what I like about this set is the fact that they didn't just dump in a bunch of planeswalkers. They actually gave each planeswalker at least one notable spell that's kind of their signature ability or something that references them. So in that case, it's Teferi. And Casualties of War. Choose one or more for 5 cost Golgari. Destroy target artifact, creature, enchantment, land, and or planeswalker. So you rack it up, you can have a 5-for-1 with this bastard. Ral, Storm Conduit. Between him and Saheeli, they make really interesting Spellslinger planeswalkers. So Saheeli has a passive ability of whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, you drop a servo onto the field. And him, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, deals 1 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. So these colors are ones that just require you to cycle through instants in your hands, just firing off spells like crazy. And yeah, it's a strategy I've always actually kind of enjoyed. I see another viewer. Hi, viewer. Please say hi back. Tell me I'm not just speaking to the void. Dear God, please. Oh. Vivian. This one was kind of one that caught me off guard when I was playing because I, didn't actually read the card when it was played against me. But yeah, you can cast creature spells as though they had flash. Until next turn, up to 1 target creature gets Vigilance and Reach, and -2, look at the top 3 cards of your library, exile 1 face down, put the rest on the bottom of your library. For as long as it remains exiled, you may look at that card and cast it if it's a creature card. Which is, of course, independent of her actually being on the field, too, which is fun in its own right. Yep. Husbando Ral. Enter the God Eternals. It deals 4 damage to target creature, gain life equal to damage dealt this way, put the top 4 target player puts the top 4 cards of their library into the graveyard, amass 4. So just a very interesting reference, I think, to the fact that there was 4 of the 5 gods of Amonkhet that were eternalized and brought to the plane. Either way, it's a very, very potent card, and it's one of the few that's really making me want to try and make a Bolus Amass deck. Speaking of redirect effects, Narcissus Reversal. Copy target instant or sorcery and return it to its owner's hand. You may choose new targets for the copy. Which also has the interesting implications, too, of if something you're casting gets countered, that A, will nudge it to the top of the stack, and B, bring the original spell back to your hand, reloading it for another shot. Well, we have Shiny Gideon's Sacrifice, so I guess we might as well continue this with his Triumph as well. I really like the Triumph cycle because it adds the juxtaposition back against the defeat cycle of Hour of Devastation, which I was really, really hoping that they would do. And on top of that, you have Tolsimer Wolfblood. So, 4 cost, Elf Scout, enters the battlefield, create Voja, a friend to elves, a legendary 3/3 green and white wolf creature token. Whenever a wolf enters the battlefield under your control, gain 3 life. That creature fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. Yeah, I want to make a wolf deck with him too. I have a lot of decks that I really want to try to make. Just need to actually sit down and make them. Another card that they made because of fan attention is Massacre Girl. She is just fun because she has the very real potential of just absolutely scrubbing the board. If what she does is when she enters the battlefield, each other creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn, which against big creatures is not a thing. But she also causes the ability to trigger again when a creature dies that way, or this turn. So if your opponent has an Emrakul and a couple other things on the field, and you have 3 little 1/1 creatures and a few other things that are slightly stronger, you can very easily create this cascade effect that will just kill everything but her. Karn's Bastion. Kind of reminding people where we're going to be going here sooner or later into New Phyrexia, because the look of it is something very reminiscent of somewhere between New Phyrexia and Maraudon, and of course tap to add colorless and 4 tap to proliferate, which is significant in itself because since you can't counter a land, you have a nice ready mana sink proliferate available in any color. Getting cheap to proliferate, but given the power of it, that's nothing to sneeze at. Living Twister. Can't really say there's a huge amount to really say about this. Discard a land, deals 2 damage to any target. Well, for 2 mana, 2 of course. Green, return a tapped land you control to its owner's hand. So, yeah. It's got legs, it's decent, but there's nothing really big to talk about on it either. And Nissa. Tap Forest for mana, add an additional green. +1, put 3 +1/+1 counters on up to 1 target non-creature land you control. Untap it, it becomes a 0/0 elemental creature with vigilance, gains haste. That is still a land. So, yeah. Basically, Nissa's there to just basically turn your lands into big, scary creatures. And again, don't forget, proliferates in this set. So those 3/3 lands are going to get big. Speaking of gods. Each of these gods is very interesting to me because they all seem to have an esoteric way of turning on their original versions. So, well, Ronus is big enough to turn the original Ronus on anyways, so that's kind of moot. But he also pumps up the field so that even something else could theoretically power up the original Ronus. Kefnet has the ability to cast an instant off the top of your library while still pulling it into your hand, keeping your hand full. Oketra will create a zombie token whenever you cast a creature spell, filling up your field. And Bantu forces a massive amount of sacrifices if you so choose, turning her original version on. So they all have their own little wonky way of turning on their original form, which I think is kind of an interesting little callback. Viewer number 2, hello, please say hi. Oh. Fimblevetter? Please tell me I'm saying that right. Oh god. Another Karn's Bastion. I think you probably missed me going on about how wonderful it is to have an uncounterable proliferate engine in every color. Free! Oh my god! That's it. I'm Facebook famous. Or YouTube famous. I'm a star. I'm a star! And Tamio. I'm really hoping we see more of her. The story circle Gatewatch-ish type thing is kind of interesting. Plus, in the flavor, it's proving that she's realizing that she can't always just stand aside and be an observer. Sometimes she's going to need to take action. So whether it means that she's actually going to be taking more action or just realize that she had to fight in that occasion remains to be seen. So how are you guys doing tonight? Anyways, I should probably ask that. And Karn himself. So, Karn has the unfortunate bit of not being terribly useful in Standard right now. I mean, activated abilities of artifacts your opponent's control can't be activated, so he will shut off things like some of the mana rocks that you get, vehicles can't be crewed, stuff like that. But in terms of legacy, there's so many things he will just shut down. Ooh, lemon chocolate. I've never really had that. That sounds really good. Role reversal. This feels like a pretty interesting addition to my Spellslinger deck, particularly if I throw in Murmuring Mystic. I'll trade off one of my bird tokens for your big, scary creature that's bearing down on me, and that's fair, right? Ooh, ooh, ooh. Got a Wolfie token. And a Johnny the Great-Hearted. I got a promo version of him in the pre-release, so I was kind of excited about that. But yeah, 4-color creatures you control have vigilance, +1, gain 3, -2. Put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control and a loyalty counter on each other planeswalker you control. So he's kind of being set up as this, well, mentor of heroes, I guess is the best way of putting it, and is what they named one of his iterations. But he's about bolstering and helping the other planeswalkers on the field, and that's a nice addition to it, because it's just a nice subtle way of doing it in a fairly repeatable way too. I mean, it's a -2 on a 5 loyalty starting. Once again, Oath of Kaya, Girls on the Gatewatch. You'll let me know if there's anything you want me to elaborate on or talk about in the interim here too, yeah? Mobilized district. So, land, add colorless, 4, becomes a 3/3 citizen creature until with vigilance until end of turn. Still land, it costs 1 less to activate for each legendary creature and planeswalker you control. So if you have 4 planeswalkers or legendary creatures, it just is a 3/3 on demand. Now, of course, you add that to something like Awakening Vitu-Ghazi or Nissa's first ability, and since they just dump a bunch of +1/+1 counters on it, it suddenly becomes a 6/6 or 12/12, which I don't need to tell you is scary. And Ugin the Ineffable. I always find Ugin interesting in the fact that he's one of the ones who took down the Eldrazi, but at the same time, anything that references him benefits them. So it's like colorless spells you cast cost 2 less to cast, +1 exile top, manifests basically without it being a manifest, and -3 destroy target permanent that's 1 or more colors. So Ravnica War. This is one that I've had a hard time deciding where I'd put that. Because on one hand, in Standard at the moment, at the very least, it's great. There's so much multicolor going around, and that just scrubs it all out. But in a normal Standard, it's But then even further, you get into Commander, and you have a very real possibility of it being a very reliable table wipe. Oh. So, first things first, Chandra, who is very much a fuck you for even trying to attack her, because passive ability, whenever 1 or more loyalty counters are removed from her, deals that much damage to target opponent or planeswalker. So you attack her, she'll bite right back for anywhere from 4 to whatever. And turns her ultimate 2 into something interesting because it's a -7. Exile top 7 cards of your library. You may play them this turn, and then saws 7 life off of either a planeswalker or a player. But the O is a shiny Illarg. Trample, whenever it attacks, you put a creature card from your hand on the battlefield, tapped and attacking, and return that creature to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. All the gods have the same rider. Dizer is put in exile from the battlefield. You may put it on its owner's library, 3rd from the top. I was talking about how the gods have a referential ability to the original Amonkhet version. He does still kind of reference Hazoret, because Hazoret required you having a empty or nearly empty hand to do anything. So that will at least temporarily pull something out of your hand to go and do something. Granted, not at a point in time that it'd help her, but, you know. Well, just in case I was concerned that I'd only have the shiny version. And another Raoul husband. I see a 3rd. Hello? No, never mind. Fine, fuck you too. Hey! Shiny Planeswalker! I made it funny. I have 2 shiny Planeswalkers already. But I have Atomic, which is funny considering I just cracked a Raoul. So, Ravnica Gaze, United. I'm going to be tossing him into my Noyan Dar deck just because giving my lands hexproof is pretty handy considering the fact that I'm turning them all into creatures. The stopping your opponents from playing land cards from the graveyard is just gravy on that. Let's see where we're at here. Yep, for one more box, Fimbulvetter. Might as well see if anybody else decides to pop through here and ramble on in the interim. Is the music good for you too there, by the way? Just kind of tossed on Final Fantasy VI because it's, well, because I think the soundtrack's fucking awesome, but, you know. Solar Blaze. Also known as fuck you unless you decide you're playing big butt creatures. Which also makes it a wonderful card that's just great for just a board wipe that can potentially miss your side of the field if you're willing to put the time into tweaking. Dreadhorde Arcanist. Zombie Wizard, 2 cost, 1/3, trample. Whenever it attacks, you may cast target instant or sorcery card with a converted mana cost of less than or equal to Dreadhorde Arcanist power from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. If that card becomes your graveyard this turn, exile it instead. So, yeah, something that requires a little bit of work to make it happen. But if you do it right, it can cause pain. Serious, serious pain. I like the spirit tokens that reference the, well, again, the manifest tokens from back in Tarkir, which, again, is what they are, but you know what I mean. Storv Devarkin Lich. Trample deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker. Return to your hand target creature or planeswalker in your graveyard that wasn't put there this combat. So, lets you kind of dig something out and your opponent may have kind of forgotten about and throw it back at them. Getting so many shiny lands. Plane-wide celebration. Choose 4. May choose the same mode more than once. Create a 2/2 citizen creature token that is all colors. Return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. Proliferate or gain 4 life. So, yeah, you can dramatically shift the tide of the battle for this. It's 7 cost, I would hope so, but still. Oh, hello, Dolly. The man himself. The only thing that makes me sad about this is the fact that he can't super friend Traxa anyways, because he's red and she's not. All loyalty abilities for all other planeswalkers on the battlefield. +1, draw a card. Each opponent exiles a card from their hand or a permanent they control. -3, destroy target creature or planeswalker. And -8, each opponent who doesn't control a legendary creature or planeswalker loses the game. That makes him rather unique. Is I'm pretty sure the only planeswalker that just out and out will just make someone lose. A lot of them will put you in a position where it's basically that, but don't think I've seen one that will out and out just say that. Another mobilized district. And speaking of references to Amonkhet, Finale of Devastation. So just like in Amonkhet you had Hour of Promise, Revelation, Hope, blah 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 blah. In this you have the finales of them. Like them, they're all mythic. But in this case, they all have an ability in the fact that you get one thing, and then if you pay X or 10 or more on the X cost in all of them, you get an additional ability. So this one is library and or graveyard for a creature card with a converted mana cost of X or less, put it on the battlefield. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. If X is 10 or more, creatures you control get +X and gain haste until end of turn. So, yeah, basically you pay 10, you're going to be going over with a massive field. The time wipe, thank you, Teferi. And another Awakening of Vidugazi. Again, turns a land into a 9/9 for 5. So you can technically attack with a 9/9 for 6. And another Spark Double. Gotta love copycats. Copycats are always fun. Ooh, Shiny Gateway Plaza. Reprinted in each of the 3 sets, but this one seems to be much the worse for wear. Oh, another Rolesk. Super Friends Candy. Actually, kind of makes me want to build a Simic deck too. Somebody needs to record every time I say I need to make these decks and play it back to me every time I'm about to go for a game night. Another Silent Submersible. Good old fixed-ish Smuggler's Copter. The Dreadhorde Arcanist. Starting to get to the point of reliable repetition here, I think. Woo! This did wonderful things for me on my pre-release. Finale of Eternity. Destroy up to 3 target creatures with toughness X or less, 2 black and X, of course, being the cost. X is 10 or more, return all creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. I never got to that, but the ability to just smudge 3 creatures is significant in Limited. Well, it's significant anywhere. 3 for 1, yeah. Widespread Brutality. Amass 2, then the army you amass deals damage equal to power to each non-army creature. So, yeah, for 4 cost, a Pyroclasm that you... At least a Pyroclasm, I should say. I'm sorry. That will leave a creature standing on your side of the field. Guaranteed. Oh, and don't forget, too, that there is the potential to give it lifelink through Dreadhorde Invasion. The Bond cards. I really like these because I've always regretted the fact that Ravnica always is so focused on the fact that it's at conflict. Showing cards that show the guilds in a cooperative light is really kind of refreshing. Ignite the Beacon. Search for 2 Planeswalker cards, put them in your hand. Cool. Not wild. It's not extremely crazy cost to make it something you really want to run, but 5 cost to tutor up 2 Planeswalkers, nothing to sneeze at either. Museum Tank, 3 costs, Crew 1, Trample, 3/2, gets +1/+1 on turn, and Cruise itself whenever you cast a non-creature spell. Again, Spell Slinger shenanigans, gotta love them. Single combat, again, Nahiri and Sorin showing their priorities are a little bit skewed. Dreadhorde Butcher. This card was shown to have a number of... have the ability to potentially, I think, turn 4 kill, I think it was. I forget what the precise setup was, but yeah, just a couple swings with it, and if it's allowed to leak through, it can really cause some bad things. I think, really, it was just a distant thud. Because, yeah, you chuck him to the opponent's face, and then he also triggers off of being sacrificed and throws himself at the opponent's face again. Yay, flavor fails. And Teferi. 3 cost for loyalty. Each opponent can only cast spells only anytime they cast a sorcery. +1 until the turn you may cast sorcery spells, or until your next turn you may cast sorcery spells as they hit flash. -3, return up to 1 target artifact, creature, or enchantment to its owner's hand and draw a card. Another role reversal. And another Narcissus reversal. I don't know if you heard what I got. The first one, 2 costs to copy a spell and then bounce the original back to its owner's hand. So, just a nice, handy utility screwball spell, which is the type of spell I just absolutely love. Tolsimer. should tell Kit that I found Ruslin's card for him. Another Massacre Girl. I'm gonna have so much fun with that card. And the last stack before I shut this down and just go for broke and just careen through the balance of what I have. Soren. Should probably have noted that I've bypassed a whole bunch of Nahiris, but since she's uncommon, I haven't really been giving her a huge amount of focus. But yeah, 4 cost. Close your turn. Creatures and planeswalkers you control have lifelink. +2 to ping something, or ping a player or planeswalker, and -X to return a creature to the battlefield with a converted mana cost of X or less. And it becomes a vampire in addition to its other types. So, obviously feeds vampire sub-theme if you really want to go for it, but otherwise it's just bringing back something that your opponent probably did not want to come back. Mortified Cause. Pop it to proliferate. Always a handy thing. Once again, Karn, the fucker over of legacy shenanigans. Bolus's Citadel. 6 cost, look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play the top card of your library. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its converted mana cost rather than paying its mana cost. Tap, sacrifice 10 non-land permanent, each opponent loses 10 life. So basically, Black Suicide to the nth degree. Another Silent Submersible. Another thing to note, I'm pretty sure each pack is guaranteed a Planeswalker, because if the rare hasn't been one, the next uncommon is one. Yes, the Elder Spell. For an additional 2 mana after you drop Bolus, you can pay an additional 2 black mana. If there's 2 Planeswalkers on the field, you can end the game. Provided they don't have any legendary creatures, of course. A very conditional turn 7 win. Sarkhan the Masterless. Former Bolus Flunky. 5 cost, 5 loyalty. Whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, each dragon you control deals 1 damage to that creature. So, in a dragon deck, you have a circle of fuck off. +1, end of turn, each planeswalker you control becomes a 4/4 red dragon creature and gains flying. -3, create a 4/4 red dragon creature with flying. So, Jace. Lab Maniac on a Planeswalker. 4 cost, 1 and 3 blue, so it's not something you're going to be splashing for, of course. 4 loyalty. If you draw a card while your library has no cards in it, you win the game instead. +1, target creature puts 2 cards of their library into the graveyard, draw a card. So, mill and I draw. And -8, draw 7 cards. Then if your library has no cards in it, you win the game. Now, of course, you can mill out yourself to expedite yourself towards his win con too. So there is that. Command the Dread Horde. 6 costs. Choose any number of target creature and or planeswalker cards in graveyards. Command the Dread Horde deals damage to you equal to the total converted mana cost of those cards. Put them onto the battlefield under your control. And of course, if you really want to get cute, there is that creature back in Khans of Tarkir, which gives all your spells an instant lifelink. So basically that's that without any real detriment. If you feel like getting cute and going at least 2 colors. Another Vivian. This set is so feel good. It's like I'm drawing all these planeswalkers. Another Oath of Kaya. The Mobilized District. And last pack of the set. Of the box. Cross your fingers for me, dude. Alright. So, blind pull. Sky Theater Strix. Blind Blast. Loxodon Sergeant. Kiora's Dambreaker. Sorin's Thirst. Crawl Stinger. Vampire Opportunist. Vivian's Grizzly. Spellgorger Weird. Topple the Statue. Into the Uncommons. Cyclops Electromancer. Ajani's Pridemate. Pledge of Unity. And Karn. Alright. With that, I think I'm going to sign off here and get something to eat and blaze through the rest of my boxes here, but Thank you for coming and watching, and have a good night.